Welcome to Ammer Time Podcast, episode number 12. I'm Henry Miller. I've got Jonas and Rasmus and a special guest today, Thomas Kyrsting. He's been on the show before. You were here last time talking about your tournament, Gentlemen's and Dolls. And now you're here again to talk about the next tournament coming up in Denmark, or the next big tournament coming up in Denmark, Giant Fanatic. So the episode today is going to be mostly talking about Giant Fanatic, and also maybe a little bit about our list that we're running for Giant Fanatic, and just in general the tournament pack. So we're going to get to that in a second. Also got a friend of mine here, Björk. He's a friend of mine from my rugby team. So he's here today. He was just come down to hang out. You're actually an Infinity player.
Yes.
And just came out to hang out and watch some Night Phase today. So maybe you just want to introduce yourself, say who you are, what you like to do, and make a funny joke.
Okay, that's tall order. No, I play Infinity, and I've been dabbling in War Machines and Hordes and 40k and a lot of other bits and pieces. So I just popped in to see what Ninth Age was about.
So you were watching a game today. We tested one of the scenarios for Giant Fanatic. What would you say is your overall impression after just being an innocent bystander for a couple of hours?
Lots of dice.
Yeah, lots of dice. It's compared to Infinity.
Yeah, it is. Lots of models too. It's very impressive and looks like a lot of fun. It's definitely the tournament packs you were testing out had a lot of interesting twists, I think.
Yeah.
To tweak the game. Looked good. Looked fun.
Yeah. How would you say what's the biggest difference between the Ninth Age and Infinity?
I mean, first one is the amount of models easily, because you can run Infinity with 10 guys on the table for a standard size game.
Yeah.
So that's a big difference, and also you utilize the scenery a lot more to
get cover and stuff like that.
To hide your guys and don't get fragged straight off. Yeah.
So we're not an Infinity podcast.
No.
So we're just gonna jump back into Ninth Age. So Thomas, maybe you'd like to introduce Giant Fanatic. Tell us what Giant Fanatic is, what it's about, what you're doing, why it's fun.
Well, it's fun because it's Ninth Age gaming. Giant Fanatic is also a lot of tournaments. They're doing both 40k and also Infinity, War Machine Hordes, Blood Bowl, Epic, and I'm missing one or two game systems, which is, I think there's 300 player tickets all in all.
Mm-hmm.
But Ninth Age is the largest one with 100 tickets.
100 tickets?
Yeah, 100 tickets. So it's probably the largest single tournament in Denmark.
Probably in Scandinavia.
And that has been for many years. It's Giant Fanatic number 18.
Wow. So it started in 1998.
Something about that. I can remember when I was very young going to a Giant Fanatic.
In 1998 I was 11 years old. No, bad maths. 9 years old.
Yeah, I was about 13 years old. But
so when is Giant Fanatic?
It's the 1st and 2nd of October this year.
Cool. So we have
more than a month.
Yeah, a little
5
bit over
weeks,
a month.
I think it is.
Yeah, I've got to do some painting.
Yeah, which is why I became a tournament organizer for Ninth Age, so I don't have to paint a lot this year. I've been to the ninth, or the fantasy part, with the One Fantasy Battle part of it, for 5 years, I think, and before that, a lot of 40k tournaments too, at Giant Fanatic. So I'm an old schooler.
Yeah, so I think we should just make a little bit of a overview of what Giant Fanatic is. So, like Thomas said, it's the biggest tournament in Scandinavia. 300 people, 100 Ninth Age places, and he said there's how many tickets have been sold so far?
92. That's
92.
8 tickets left.
8 tickets left. So if you want to join Giant Fanatic number 18, you should go on fanatic.dk.
Yes.
There's 8 tickets left, so get them while they're hot. It's going to be a great tournament.
Yeah.
What's going to happen now is we're going to quickly go over the tournament pack for Giant Fanatic Ninth Age. We're going to talk about the battlefield condition cards, which are something that's going to make the games a bit more interesting, and also hopefully limit some builds and balance a bit, make it less rock, paper, scissors, and a bit more dynamic. And then we're going to talk about the scenarios. So Giant Fanatic is 5 games, 3 games on the first day, and 2 games on the second day.
Yes.
Yes, and there's also a quiz and painting prizes, usual tournament things.
That's about 100 battle points from the game, so 20 per game,
Yeah.
and then 35 points divided in sub scores, divided between fair play, painting, and quiz.
Yep. Okay. Firstly, we should talk about the victory points. So the victory point table in the Ninth Age, it goes from 17 to 3, depending on how many points you score from the game, how many victory points you get, how many models you kill, and then you get 3 points for the scenario. Now, in Giant Fanatic, it's going to be slightly different. So maybe you'd like to elaborate on how it's different and why it's different.
Yeah, it's. I really wanted the scenarios, the objectives to matter a bit more, matter more than the 6 points that you're usually playing for. So you can, by winning the different scenario objectives, you can get +5 points if you win and -5 points if you lose. So that's a lot of points.
So the scenarios are going to be really, really important.
Exactly.
So bring your scoring units, guys.
Yeah. So that's something to change the meta a bit. So you really have to focus on getting those objectives in the different scenarios. And we have 5 different scenario packs, 5 different scenarios. And we also changed, because you get more points from the scenario objective, you also get a little bit less from the victory points. Normally you have 8 different levels of
different points brackets.
How many point brackets? Yeah. We shortened that down to 6, and instead of capping at more than 750 points, you're capping at 1500 victory points.
Yeah. So it's a little bit easier to get the highest one.
Yeah.
But the scenario points taken into account.
Yeah. It's also, if you cap the victory points for smashing an enemy, but the enemy got the objective, it's a draw.
Okay. And we should also say that it's actually quite hard to get 20-0, or it's a little bit harder to get 20-0 because the bracket is quite high.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not. I think is it 19-1 or 19 or 18-2 is a bit easier.
Yeah, it depends on if you win the scenario objective.
Yeah. Okay.
But you really need to smash the enemy. The bracket for getting 14 points for victory points is 1,000 to 1,500.
Okay. So it's quite a big bracket.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not that hard to get 14 points because you just need a little bit over 1,000, but you need to score 1,500 points to get that point more.
So basically, if you 20-0 someone, you've really fucked them in the ass.
Yeah.
You've really fucked them in the ass. They've done something really wrong.
Play a proper hammer.
Yeah. You've been like walking your units backwards towards the enemy for the whole game. Okay, so first up, the battlefield condition cards. Now, there's going to be 6 cards, correct?
That's correct.
And each of the cards you can play once during the tournament.
Yeah.
So there's 5 games and 6 cards.
Yeah. Again, it's something that I wanted to change the meta a bit and to prevent some builds, some of the hard builds, so it's not as much rock, paper, scissors as we mentioned before. At the start of the tournament, you get a card deck of 6 cards for the 5 games, and you can play 1 card at the start of the game, at the start of each game.
And when during the game do you play the card?
After list presentation and before rolling for deployment and
such.
And you don't have to play a card, so it can be maybe a strategic advantage to maybe not play some games if you think they're pretty balanced already, and then having a bigger hand for the last games, because you use the cards when you use them and have to.
So you can only use them once.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's an interesting idea actually, because then you can kind of hold your cards back,
Yeah.
and then if you're doing really well by the end, you can play your card, and obviously you can only play 1 card per game.
Yes, exactly, and you only have 1 of each cards of these 6 cards.
Okay, so what do the cards do?
Well, I can go through them. The first one is called Fog of War, where in the first round of the game there's fog all around, which means that all units more than 18 away from a targeting shooting unit receives hard target. And if you're more than 24 inches away from a unit, you cannot target that. That also means that you can't target it with spells or with catapults and stuff like that.
So this one is to combat the gunline build, exactly. Right? So that means that if the gunline wants to shoot you in the first turn, has to either push up or it has to hold back and not shoot. So that's kind of limiting the builds that we don't really like to play against.
Yeah, exactly.
And one of them is gun lines.
Yes.
Okay. The second one?
The second one is a bit funny one. That's called Dawn Attack. Where you put a covering screen down between the players and you deploy in secret.
I've never actually played this.
No, I played it at an old Giant Fanatic some years ago. It was really fun. It's quite quirky and not always fair, but it's fun. So you deploy your whole army without knowing where the opponent is.
Yeah.
And then you roll for first turn as normal.
Yeah, Rasmus, you were telling a story about when this happened to you at a tournament. You want to tell the listeners what happened?
Yeah, it's really quick. I was playing Dwarves with the Enduring Mountain, the shooting gallery, against an assault orc army. And what I did is put my army real quick down in silence in the one corner. And it was making a lot of noise.
Like dropping the pens and rolling the dice and moving the keys.
And occasionally putting my head up so you could see my hair and sitting down.
At the opposite corner so you could put your army.
Opposite corner. And
Sneaky.
yeah, and of course he thought he was sneaking, so he put his entire orc army where he thought I was. And when we lift the sheets, I was in the other corner.
So you had to slog all the way across the board.
Yeah, and he did. He reached the center.
He got halfway there before they all got killed.
Before get wiped.
That was the 20-0 then.
So in this meta, he would have gotten the objective. Probably.
I was in the middle. I shoot him down and then I sold him.
So yeah, that's a sneaky tip there for Hammer Time tip there for the screen.
Yeah.
The screen card.
Yeah. The next one is Strange Currents of Magic, which is against the strong magic armies, where you get one dispel dice each phase, both for you and your opponent, and all casting attempts during the game receives -1 to the roll.
Okay, so this basically means that when you're trying to cast spells, that it's a bit harder, which makes you want to throw more dice at the spell.
Yeah, and means you cannot just one dice 5 bounce spells in a row or something.
So like the Empire Banishment army with the Thunderbolt and the Banishment.
Which nobody likes.
No.
except the Empire players. But it's not a complete ban, but just makes it a bit harder.
Yeah. You played this today.
Yeah.
How did you find it went today?
Went fine. It equalized Rasmus, which I was playing. It had a bit stronger magic than I had.
Yeah.
And it balanced it a bit out.
Because obviously it also hinders your own magic phase as well.
But you just have to, if your opponent has a stronger magic phase and you're not completely reliant on your own magic, you can play it. But you can still cast spells and it's not completely hindering it.
Yeah, something that we should say as well is that you want Giant Fanatic to be hidden lists.
Yeah.
So this is actually quite difficult because you don't always know if people have a lot of bound spells because you can't see the magic items that people have. So it's kind of a guessing game. Maybe they've got lots of bound spells, maybe not. So you have to
know the game really good.
Yeah. Or you just have to sneak a peek at their lists before, if you can.
Yeah. We can return to that?
Yes.
Yeah. The next one is called Sabotage, where you choose one enemy unit, which will not set up with the rest of his army. Instead, it will come into play as ambushes in the first turn, where automatically coming in on the first turn from his own board edge. Yep. So it's like slowing one of his units down.
Yeah.
You cannot choose character, but you can choose any other unit, and that's to counter some of the big Death Star units and the like. You can also choose to put some of your characters in that unit. So
for example, the Skaven on the Plague Pendulum. If you actually choose that unit, then obviously the character has to be deployed with it. So the character and the unit are going to be off the board.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's just to counter those kind of units that are difficult to deal with.
Yeah. So
it makes it a bit easier for the Death Stars and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, fair enough. I think that's a good one. We've all pretty much played with this card in the practice games that we've been doing recently.
Yeah.
How have you guys found it worked?
Well, we tested it back when it was you had the option of removing two smaller units. And I think it worked very nice with being able to remove the chaff.
Yeah.
But I think it can definitely be of great importance and shift the balance of power in a game, especially with the mission pack that we'll go through later. which with some of the missions you have to move a very big distance with some of your scoring units, and if you can remove the scoring unit with the sabotage and make it move the extra 20 inch, I think that could be a big difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a lot of tactic to this specific card.
Yeah, we changed it from 2 smaller units to just having 1 unit without any maximum points, because else it could hit gun lines even more, and you already had 1 anti-gun line.
Yeah, because taking 2 cannons off was quite harsh.
Yeah, it's quite hard.
But taking 1 cannon off, that's still quite good, because it's just 1 turn that a cannon's not shooting at you.
Exactly.
And if you're running a dragon, then you can get up in someone's face quite quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so the last one?
Oh, the 5th one.
Oh, the 5th one, there's 2 more.
Yeah, there's 2 more. It's Stormy
Okay.
Weather. You choose 1 game turn where the storm is peaking. In this chosen game turn, no units can use the fly special rule. So you choose, after this presentation, you choose 1 game turn where there's no flying movement.
Okay, so it's a bit like a storm banner.
Exactly, but you know it from beforehand, so you can plan around it.
Yeah.
It's again some of the flying circus lists,
Yes.
but
Sky sloops.
No sky slopes.
it hinders the game, but you know which turn it is, so you can probably, if you're a good player, you can play around it.
Yeah.
But it should hinder some of the worst flying circus builds.
Yeah.
So it makes it disadvantageous, because else you can risk to have 3-4 games where people play that game against you. So.
It's not as good as a storm banner, because a storm banner you can choose when to start it, whereas this one is like, okay, it's turn 3 or it's turn 4, no flying, and you can plan around it.
Yeah, and the storm banner also hindered
shooting. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
Is it still the same?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. It's -1 to hit for -1 ballistic skill, I think, for all shooting models, and you have to roll 4+ to
Shoot a stone
to
thrower.
shoot stone throwers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and the last one?
It's just a normal day. This one, instead of playing the scenario for this round, you just play a normal game of 9th Age with classic deployment and roll for secondary objective. You still use the tournament
Victory points
table. But if you play this card, your opponent gets to choose both deployment zone and who gets to deploy first. And this is in the pack to counter if someone really doesn't like one of the scenarios in the pack, or have a really hard time building a list who can cope with, for example, one scenario, then you can just save that card for that round.
I think this is a really good way of balancing the tournament, because it means that there's going to be some armies that are really good in certain situations. Like, I don't know, we'll get to the scenarios in a second, I don't want to spoil it. But there's going to be obviously some armies that are really good at holding objectives and things like that. And if you can just say, okay, let's just play a normal game, then it kind of balances those lists.
Because it's after list presentation, so if you can see that this matchup, I have no chance of getting the objective, then you can play this card.
Yeah, and obviously the objectives are really important, so it's fair that
you still get to roll for the objective in the rulebook, but those are a bit easier.
Maybe you'll get the same one.
Yeah, no, it's still a bit easier to get some of the objectives in the rulebook.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about the scenarios.
Yeah.
So obviously there's 5 scenarios, 1 scenario for each game. You don't roll for it, you just have game 1 is X scenario, game 2 is Y scenario, etc.
Exactly.
So yeah, scenario number 1. So this is day 1, game 1.
Yes. Getting ready, getting your army out, getting all the
Probably
rust off your dice.
Shaking off the hangover.
Yeah. Also that on the second day. The first game is Capture the Flags, which is set up with classic deployment and then playing with Capture the Flags from the book.
Yeah,
except that it just gives more points.
So this is just out of the book, Capture the Flags, as 3 banners.
Yeah.
Kill
you
3
choose up
banners.
3 banners after the scoring units. No, just enemy standard barrels. It's like in the rulebook as a secondary objective. Not much about that. The second game is Mosh Pit.
Mosh Pit.
With you have diagonal deployment, and then you put a marker in the middle of the board, and you make sure there's no impossible terrain or buildings within the 6 inches of the marker. And then the game is about controlling the mosh pit marker in the middle of the board, and you control from starting from the second player's second turn. if a player controls the marker, he gets 1 control point
So that means you have
in
to
his
have
own turn.
you have to have a scoring unit within
6
inches of
You
the
have to
marker.
have more scoring units
More scoring units.
than your opponent within
Yeah.
6 inches of the
Okay.
marker.
Okay.
So it's
Forces people to go into the middle,
exactly so a mosh pit in the middle.
and it starts. So it's the player that goes second. Their second turn is when the first
That's
the first
when
time you get the marker.
start to control.
Okay.
You note down if you get control points.
Yeah. Have any of you guys played this one yet?
No, not yet.
Yeah, I played it one time.
How did it go?
I played 2 times.
Twice. Okay. You've been
Also-
playing a lot recently.
I'm playing 4 games, 5 games now.
A week?
Giant Fanatic.
Okay.
Yeah, girlfriend away.
So yeah, how did it go?
Yeah, one game was against Undying Dynasty, which were playing defensively, so I could hold the objective for a couple of turns before getting pushed off and beaten to death. I was playing Wood Elf that put like 35 Eternal Guards in the center and said, "Fuck you, Dark Elf." And I destroyed it.
Did they collect the objective in the end?
Yeah, for 4 turns, and then I wiped the army.
Okay. And you still won?
Yeah, I won because I wiped
Yeah.
and took it for the next.
2-3 turns.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. So this is the final scenario of day 1.
Yes, it's something a little different, called Outflanked, where you. This is a bit more out of the box than the usual games. You divide the table into 2 halves, and you choose one to be the attacker, one to be the defender.
So you roll off like normal.
Yeah, you roll off as normal. The attacker starts deploying like 8 inches away from his table edge, along the whole table edge.
Yeah.
He deploys up until at least 1,400 points and no more than 1,700 points of his army.
So between 1,400 and 1,700
He
points.
deploys
in the 8-inch point zone.
Yes, and then the rest of his units he secretly notes down if they are outflanking on his left flank or on his right flank.
Yeah.
And these units who are outflanking, they arrive on the first turn, following rules for ambushes on the respective node of flanks, but they automatically come in on his first turn.
Yeah.
And it's secret from his opponent where they arrive.
Yeah.
Then when the attacker deployed, the defender deploys, and it's it's the defender deploys 18 away from the short table edges and 6 inches away from the central line. So it's big.
So it's like
box.
an 18-inch box in the middle. Is my math really good?
It's 18 from the back of. It's 18.
I'm confusing you now.
It's 18 towards the center from his back line, and then it's 36 inches wide.
Okay, so it's kind of like a box in the middle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you're quite far up as well.
Yes. Exactly.
And what is the objective in this scenario?
Well, when you deploy your whole army, then you choose one of your units, which has to be one of your scoring units. If this unit it needs to reach the attacker's back line.
Yeah, the table edge.
Yeah, exactly. And if it does that, the unit escapes the battlefield and you win the objective.
Yeah.
You remove the unit and it doesn't count as destroyed, so you don't get victory points for it. And you win the 5 objective points.
Okay. So you basically have to get one unit and march it across the battlefield.
It has to get away.
Yeah, and off the table edge.
Exactly. If the unit doesn't escape, the opponent wins the game.
Okay. And also, is it something like if you reduce it to...
Yeah, if you get down to decimated at 55% or below its starting number of wounds...
25%.
What did I say?
55. So down to
25,
down to 25%.
Yeah. When it escapes, then it's a tie.
Yeah.
So if the opponent really beats the unit down, but it still escapes, it's a tie.
Yeah. This one is what you played today, and it looked really fun. Like trying to push a unit across the table, and trying to stop it and redirect it and shoot it down and stuff like
You
that.
really have to think about it in your list building and
Yeah.
about when you play the game. It's can be really hard.
Yeah. Like also which units you want to come in on the sides and which
Yeah,
units
exactly.
you want to stand there and block.
Yeah,
But read this mission.
yeah. It's a
And
bit
read it, and
complicated.
read it 2 times.
Yeah, and there will be now the guys have played it in the work in progress, but we will have a drawing of how you deploy, which
Yeah.
should clarify it a bit.
Yeah. It might sound complicated, but it's not. And if you don't like it, then just play just a normal day card.
Exactly. If you think this is too shitty and complicated, just play the card that ignores this scenario.
I'd be really sad if my opponent does this because I really want to play it.
Yeah.
I was kind of scared of this mission because it's so complicated, but when we played it, we thought it was fair.
Yeah. There's one some extra. The chosen unit who's trying to escape cannot move. Can move a maximum of 12 inches in a turn.
Yeah.
Which means that you cannot just take a very fast unit and just march it off. And you cannot just magically move it
Yeah.
the
So
heck out of it.
it can only move 12 inches in your turn.
Excluding fleeing and
Pursuing,
moves,
overrunning, things like that.
And unit cannot use scout or vanguard. So
Yeah, it's quite fair.
yeah, most units should use 3 turns to move it
Yeah.
away.
At least.
Except if you overrun.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the end of day 1.
Yeah.
Scenario number 3. So how about day 2?
Oh, you finish day 1 with the drinking game afterwards.
Is that true?
No. Just going out for beer. You have to line up your army for painting.
You should do that. You should have a drinking game at the end of day 1.
Maybe. You could organize one. An Ammertime.
Hammer time. Can we get extra points? If you
That could be fun.
Sure.
how many points?
Extra points for shots.
How many points are up for grabs?
0.1.
0.1 point.
Oh yeah!
But it'll be important if you're both on the same. If you're both on the same points at the end, and one of you has participated in the Hammer Time drinking game,
Then you win.
it's like
Which is only fair.
we should do it that.
So the Ammertime drinking game should be a tiebreaker.
Yeah, it should be. Is this a Ninth Age name or a Warhammer name? Like Dark Riders. Is it a Warhammer name or a Ninth Age name or both? And if you get it wrong, you have to drink.
Oh yeah, like a quiz or something.
Yeah. That should be part of the quiz.
Yeah. And you have to take a shot each time you say something wrong.
And we get through a lot of Jaeger.
So second day
Yeah.
with the hangover. Now.
Yeah, day 2, hangover
2.
in process,
Starting
full
with
swing.
also a bit of a different scenario. Hold the line. Classic deployment. You place 3 objective markers in the center of the board. One in the middle and one 12 inches from each short edge. And then starting from the second player's second turn again, if you control all 3 objectives in one turn at the same time, you win the scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can and you control the marker if you have more strong units than your opponent within 4 inches of the marker.
Okay, so it's like a little bit like hold the ground, but it's at any time during the game.
It's at any time during the game. So if you're fast and your opponent sleeps, you can win the objective in turn 2.
If your opponent's still drunk or hungover.
Yes, exactly.
Playing boards.
So it can be quite hard to secure all 3 markers.
Yeah.
You need at least 3 strong units.
Yeah.
Because a unit cannot claim more than 1 at a time. And if you want to be sure about it, you probably should bring 4 strong units.
Yeah. This is what we're going to come on to, I think, in the second part of the show today. Talking about how your list is going to be affected by these scenarios, and I think this one is definitely a scenario that you need at least 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 scoring units.
Yeah. And if you have a hard time doing that, you play just a normal day if you haven't used it yet.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to be doing on this mission with my list.
Yeah. But I really recommend that people don't play the just normal day, because let your opponent try to play the objective.
Yeah.
Because these are some different objectives and scenarios, and try giving it a chance.
Yeah.
So, and the last one,
Final game.
the final game.
It's not Battle Line.
No,
No.
it's secure target.
Secure
it's,
target.
With flank attack deployment, and then with the secure target, almost a secure target from the rulebook.
Yeah.
Where you place, after determining deployment zones, both players each place one mark on the battlefield, starting with the player that picked deployment zone. Each player has to place its marker more than 8 inches away from their deployment zone, and the short table edges, and 24 inches away from the other marker. And you cannot place it within 1 inch of impossible terrain and buildings.
Yeah. So it's
and it's the same, you control the marker if you have more strong units than your opponent.
yeah, and that's at the end of the game.
That's it, at the end of the game.
Okay, so it's like two objectives on the board.
Yes. So
Okay,
it's a bit more classic and almost from the rulebook.
Yeah. So, and I guess you said to us that the including this scenario at this place in the tournament was to, you don't want like a much of a new scenario or a crazy scenario at the last game of the tournament, because obviously at this point it's going down to the wire and it could get serious, so you want a bit more of a standard scenario.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, with some of the more wacky scenarios, you probably have a wider selection of the battlefield condition cards for maybe changing the game or balancing something out.
Yeah.
And you might not have that many cards left for the last game, so that should be pretty straightforward gaming. The only thing about it is that it uses flank attack deployment from the book, but it's also from the rulebook.
Yeah, I quite like the flank attack one. It doesn't make too much difference.
So we have like 2 scenarios, no, 3 scenarios with the classic deployment, 1 with diagonal and 1 with flank attack.
Yeah, I think that's quite nice. It's good all round mix of scenarios. So, guys, do you have any comments on the scenarios or the battlefield condition cards?
They're definitely going to set a pace for the game, I think, and for me, I'm going to look at the scenario pack and kind of figure out, like we talked about before, how many scoring units. I think they're going to be the important part. How many scoring units you're going to bring. I think I'm definitely going to, sorry to say so, I'm just going to, just a normal day on the 4th one.
Hold the ground, hold the line.
Yeah, because as a Vermin Swarm player, it's really hard for me to hold the 2 ones on the side, because I just don't have the leadership. I don't have the leadership bubble to hold all 3, so I can't have my opponent outright winning in turn 2 or something, because I don't have the speed or don't have the leadership to move up.
You could always claim 2 of the objectives, or even 1, and just stop your opponent getting the objective and beat him in combat.
Yeah, but for me, I think it's just a safe choice to go with something a little bit more standard than risking playing a game like that in which I feel like I have a down.
Also depends on the matchup.
Yeah, definitely.
You know the list you're playing before playing the cards.
Yeah.
So.
And this is what I actually quite like about this way that you set it up with the cards, is that you actually have an option that if you don't like the scenario, that you have kind of like a get out of jail free card. And obviously you should try and build your lists around the scenarios, but if it comes down to it and you're like, okay, this one I have no hope, I'm just going to play just a normal day. And that's why I think it's really good the way you've done it. Yeah, I think we'll just we'll take a quick break now. We're going to come back afterwards and we're going to talk about our list that we've been running leading up to this, and talk about how we're going to change them now we've seen the scenarios and stuff. So join us after the break. Welcome back. We just talked a bit about Giant Fanatic, upcoming tournament in Copenhagen. Right now we're going to go over the lists that we're running at the moment. But first, we just want to say like a little bit more about the restrictions in inverted commas. Like the restrictions themselves are of the tournament pack that we've just gone through. There's no actual restrictions to the armies, or it's completely out of the book to the 9th Age. Like we trust the 9th Age rule set, and we think it's good enough that, or at least Thomas thinks it's good enough that it doesn't need to be restricted in any way. So the restrictions themselves are the rules pack that we just talked about, the scenarios and the cards. There is going to be an update, hopefully in the next week, that the 9th Age team have made after the ETC. And if this rule set or the update comes out 2 weeks before, or at least 2 weeks before the tournament, then this will be the rule set that we use for the tournament. And yeah, so that's the only thing that could change from between now and then.
There are some small fixes that need to be made after
Pope wagon.
Yeah, Pope wagon, flaglands, sky sloop lists, some really bad
I think
lists.
I played a list with 14 chariots
Yeah.
at the ETC warm-up.
So that,
Your
that
fault.
would be-
You
that-
gave me the matchup.
Yeah. I didn't want to play that.
I won.
well, there's some holes in the balance right now, which should be fixed after ETC.
Yeah.
With some small updates, which hopefully are coming here in the start of September.
Yeah.
If not, then there might come some small restrictions, but we're counting on not
Yeah,
going
hopefully.
to do that. The only other thing which there is we're playing with the optional rule of hidden lists,
Okay.
which means that magical items are hidden on the lists, which is from the rulebook. It's not completely balanced, but it's something else, and it's something that changes the meta a bit, and it means that you can build some secret combos and maybe have something up your sleeve.
Yeah.
And the opponent doesn't know exactly what your character is equipped with, which
think-
also means that you probably don't see the net list.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is why it's really good, because you can bring the net list, but then people know exactly what you're going to have.
Yeah.
But if you go a little bit outside the box, then maybe you can catch some people out and make something that's really nice.
Yeah, playing with the Wood Elf item where they put a forest down during the game.
Yeah. I've been thinking about this. Oliver and I have been talking about it, and I have a shapeshifter hero with the sacred seeds, and you just run up 18 inches and you put the forest down in front of his Death Star, and then you're treating him to shit as he walks through it. The trees come alive and just batter his Death Star. But I think things like that, and you could use the Mistwalker mirror where you can teleport between the forests and things like that. I think there's legs in that list. I'm probably going to try it next week, actually.
So now you just
gave away all my
gave away all your
tactics.
secrets.
Yeah, now you're going to hear my list.
Very nice of you, yeah.
Yeah. So, first up, Rasmus, do you want to tell us about your list? Maybe the one that you ran today, or what you've been playing with recently?
Yeah, I've been playing Dread Elves, MSU, old army that works okay. It's pretty difficult to play. When it works extremely good. When it doesn't work, it get really its ass kicked.
Like today.
Yeah, it's a 20-0 list. I either get 0 points or 20 points.
Yeah.
I feel like the units are not there.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're missing, but I guess I get Bullthrows okay, Tower Guards and small units are cheap, but they're not cutting it. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's the characters carrying the army.
Is that why the Dread Elves not been doing so well recently?
Yeah, I feel like they're missing some. They have a lot of special rules, but I don't know.
Yeah, just not.
I've been winning a lot with them, but
I think that's more because you're a good player than necessarily than the
yeah.
list itself.
Maybe your opponents.
Yeah, the opponent. Yeah. Fuck you guys. The Elder is still okay because it's the war platform chariot 4+ ward save thing.
Yeah.
And the assassin is crazy. That's the best guy in the army.
Yeah, so maybe you just want to quickly go through exactly what's in your list.
Yeah, not exactly.
Okay. maybe miss out the magic items.
Yeah, okay. I can say that characters from Dread Elves and Wild Magic is extremely good in combination.
I think any character plus wilderness magic is.
No, not any characters because they have a crappy stat line. And when you use Beast Magic, you give them an insane stat line, and they have all the special rules to support that.
Yeah.
It rerolls 1 to wound and
Yeah.
Yeah, Assassin with Hydra aspect on, it's batshit crazy.
What else do you have on your list apart from the characters that you
the
don't want to talk
PSP
about?
on Elder, the level 4 on Wild, level 2 on Shadow, the Assassin that has a great weapon, guess what?
Yeah.
20 Corsairs, 3 units of Tower Guards, 2 units of crossbows, a unit of Dark Raiders,
Good
3
save.
Bullthrows.
They're not called Bullthrows anymore.
Fuck!
Dread Reapers? Dread Reapers or something?
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a bit of MSU, bit of tower
Yeah,
guard.
that doesn't sound like much, but when you do a mistake against them, you feel it.
Yeah, because they can fight. They can, especially when combined with the beast magic.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the crux of the list. I find with the elves at the moment, it's really magic dependent. Like if you can get your one spell off in the right combat, then you'll win.
And you win big.
Yeah, because they have good. They can hit well, and then they're fast, and they strike first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my list, I'm running the Sylvan Elves at the moment. I have a Lord on a Stag, who's pretty good.
Pretty staggy.
Yeah. Don't wanna, I don't mind. I don't mind telling people what he's got. He's got.
Really?
No, I don't mind. I tell people he's got an obsidian blade, so he's got no armor saves against him. He's only strength 4, but he's got potion strength, so he can be strength 6 for 1 round. So he's got 4 attacks base because he's a lord, and then he's got the wild huntsman, kindred, so that makes it frenzy. So he's got 5 attacks, and then he's got devastating charge. So when he charges, he has 6 attacks, and then he's got the helm of the hunt. So when he charges, he has 7 attacks and weapon skill 8, and potion strength, so strength 6. So when he charges, he runs in and he attacks at weapon skill 8 with 7 attacks at strength 6 with no armor saves.
Sounds like 40k.
Yeah, pretty much.
Instant death.
Yeah,
From one guy.
but he's only got a 2% armor save.
Like a knight from 40k.
Gotcha. Chaos Lords,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, your
Shot things. Yeah.
Rasmus's Chaos Lords are pretty nasty in Ninth Age as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty. They've been.
Sorcerer striking.
Yeah, this character's actually built to kill Chaos Lords.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's quite good. And he's a general. I have 2 level 2s on Shadow. One with a scroll, one with an extra spell, one with a bow. You know the bow from the rulebook. It's the only wood elf bow. Just poison shots. I have the BSB with the standard BSB build. It's got a war banner and all sorts of stuff. It's magic spear, which gives distracting. It's not too difficult to work out what it's got. 2% arm save. I have 2 units of archers with black arrows, a unit of heath riders for scoring, a unit of dryads to kill chariots. I have 24 forest rangers, the guys with the great weapons. I actually forgot to tell you that they have fight next to rank. Never mind. Yeah, they have the fight next to rank banner. 2 times 5 blade dancers, 2 times 5 wild huntsmen with paired weapons, and a unit of kestrel knights. And then in red, there's just 9 sentinels with poison. So the idea is that I've got lots of attacks at low strength or strength 4 armor piercing, lots and lots of attacks, and I can reduce the toughness of monsters, or I can reduce the toughness of units, which makes my attacks more valuable. And then I can also cast Mind Razor, which wins games. It's Mind Razor 5 times. And yeah, that's pretty much the essence of the list. It's really squishy, but it hits really hard when combined with magic. And double
Perfect
miasma.
hammer.
Yeah, exactly. And it's got a bit of shooting as well. You actually played with my army today. How did you feel it worked?
Well, I was really confused because I normally play Warriors of the Dark Gods, so it's a really different army.
It's like the polar opposite army.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I know how to play against it, but it's like, how the fuck do you play it? It played out pretty good.
Yeah.
With smashing face.
Yeah.
It also helped with the scenario. Yeah, hitting like a glass hammer. We had like 5 wild riders, what they call
Wild
wild huntsmen, charging 10
Tower guards?
tower guards and just exploding, so no one was left. They struck at the same time. The idea was that I hoped to get a miasma through, so I struck before the tower guard. Rolled badly in the magic phase, so I didn't get any off, but I got a scroll, so that's at least that.
Yeah.
And then they just exploded.
Evaporated.
Yeah, evaporated. So both units dead.
Strike at initiative 6, both with lots of
Yeah,
attacks.
yeah. And causing a lot of panic test in Rasmus' line, but no one ran out. So
So it was a trade-off. How many points
Yeah.
did Tower Guard? 10 of them.
Less than the.
Yeah, less than the
They're
Huntsman.
110, and they had a champion, so it's 120.
Okay, the Huntsman are only 150, so
It's not.
it wasn't that much of a
It
trade.
was like it was to a chance because if I got the miasma through,
It was
I
a
would
risk.
just have
Yeah.
was a risk. I would have just killed the tower guard and then run into 10 executioners behind, which they would have pulled to shreds.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
But it's pretty unique that both Elves army have so much initiative. Normally,
Yeah, I
the Elves
was
army-
really because a lot of initiative have been lowered in the Ninth Age.
Yeah.
So I was really like everything is just initiative 6. I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is
a,
happening?
lot, a lot of pad weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the chariots, initiative 6, the Cauldron Knights, initiative 6,
Tower guards.
Tower Guards, the Witch Elves, what the Witch Elves
They're
called?
pad weapons.
Initiative
Sass,
6.
pad weapons.
Yeah, a lot of initiative 6. And the same with the Sylvan Elves, War Dancers, the
So
Sentinels
the
of
game
bad
was
weapons.
really we are just destroying each other if we charge in and making the right charges. But I also just charged the Stag Lord into the Corsair unit who was trying to escape.
Yeah.
We were playing the outflanked scenario, and Rasmus was the
Defender.
Defender trying to
and
reach
I was
your
the attacker.
background.
So and he chose his Corsair unit to try to escape the board, and I just
Held them up the whole
held
game.
them up the whole game with the Stag
Stag,
Lord,
yeah.
and then in turn 3 or 4 I could charge the bunker of
Yeah, my
Forest
assassin
Rangers.
Forest Rangers in the inside.
Yeah, and the Stag Lord managed to
And-
kill the assassin.
Rasmus's assassin didn't really feel like assassinating anyone today, so that helped.
Did you fluff all your attacks or?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Happens. So, guys, now we've told us at least about our list that we're running at the moment. What are you going to take into account now you've seen the tournament pack, and now you've had a chance to play the scenarios? What are you going to take into account when you write your list for the tournament or change your list for the tournament?
I'm gonna try to make a list that can, not reliable, but with a good chance take the objective.
Yeah, this can be so important. I have 3 scoring units in my list right now, and when I sit down and write it again, it's going to have 4 or 5.
I have 5. I don't even feel like it's enough.
No, you can fit a few more banners though, can't you, in your army?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I'm probably gonna do that.
yeah, 7 or 8 scoring units. That's going to be really tough to play against.
Yeah.
But I was actually thinking, like, what's the missions? Because do we need that many scoring units? Like, one of the objectives is moving your units through to the other guys. You don't need very many banners here. You have one with the Mars Pit. You have to have most within 6, but you can just have 1 or 2 good ones because your opponent's probably not going to fit that many in either. So you can like have 2 strong combat blocks in the center, combating for the objective, and just some chaff to kind of move his stuff out of the way. And then the big one is of course hold the line. That's the one where you have to have a lot of banners, but you can just use just a normal day on that one, and then you're not pushed, you're not forced to have that many scoring units, because some of the scenarios are just not based around having a lot of scoring units.
Yeah.
So I was actually thinking just going 2 big combat blocks. And
you have to remember some of the battlefield condition cards. For example, Sabotage, where the opponent can force one of your scoring units to come in from the board on turn 1 instead of starting at the
12-inch mark.
12 mark or maybe
Yeah.
longer in.
Yeah.
If you only have 2 strong scoring units, you're losing the objective, probably, because he can delay it, maybe, but it depends.
Yeah, and you can take off the most of his shooting. You have some options of removing some of the damage from the shooting stuff. So I would definitely consider running us only a 2 banner setup. Just try it a couple of games and see how it works out, and then just a huge fucking monster mass on the side, because you have all these battlefield conditions that can really take off the edge of your opponent's shooting phase. So if you're bringing 3 or perhaps 4 monsters, they can really do big work, and with 2 strong combat blocks to either contest or claim the objective. I think you're in a pretty decent position.
The problem is you only get one time to use the card for your own games to avoid getting shot to shreds if you have a lot of monsters. So the rest of the games you'll play, you can't counter it again.
Yeah, but I don't think you're going to. I don't think at this tournament. I don't think there will be a lot of very shooting heavy armies because of the way the restriction system is with the counter cards. So I really don't think there will be some gun lines, but I don't think you'll meet gun lines to the maximum. You'll meet 2 gun lines. I can't believe any, and I think it will be Skaven-ish gun lines if you're meeting them. And yeah, I think a monster mash is a good idea. Perhaps trolls and stuff that can.
Yeah. I think trolls is a really good shout. Right? Anything.
Yeah, they cannot have a banner.
No, but you have to think like, okay, what kind of scoring units are there? And there's a lot of the scoring units are actually infantry. A lot of the scoring units are just cavalry. And I think something like trolls is a really hard counter to infantry because they have lots of attacks, they have high strength, they can do no armor saves, and like if you have a unit of chaos warriors or something with a banner, and that's I'm gonna come up and claim an objective. Well, okay, here's 6 trolls in your face. Go fuck off. I'm gonna smash your dick in. Like, I think you can think about units that are actually going to be hard counters to the scoring units that you're going to see, and I think these are going to be useful as well. Something like tree men or like the wild huntsman.
Of course, you can make an army that pushes your opponent away from the objective.
Yeah.
And if you just have 1 or 2 good solid scoring units that you're sure will stick around the objectives, I think you're in a good position if you can make a lot of damage around and kind of push for the flanks and try to push them off the objectives.
Do you think you're going to see ETC lists?
Yeah.
Yeah, and right now I'm testing double doom wheel, double cannon, shenanigans, because it's just really good, and it's not that hardly comes in. Of course, there's a little bit against the 2 cannons, but the 2 cannons sometimes they do work, sometimes they just don't.
Yeah, if you roll 1s for your strength.
Yeah, that's Skaven cannons. That's why they're cheap. So.
Do you think you're going to see like the Sky Sloop list? Do you think you're going to see the Flagellants? I mean, we don't know what the changes are going to be, but
if they don't change it, Flagellants are really good in these scenarios.
Yeah, because they can stand there all day long.
They do what trolls do, just a much better.
Yeah, and they're cheaper.
Well, I can say if the 9th Age team doesn't change Flagellants, I will make sure they. I had a personal experience at Ammertime.
Sorry.
So I have a grudge against them. So if that's just something that's too good. A good example of something that if the mini update doesn't fix it or it doesn't come out 2 weeks before, we will have a small ban on Flagellants.
I can remember your reaction. I said. Because we are friends, I said these are really good. You have to be really careful. Yeah, okay, they're straight hard, right? Yeah, they're really hard. I said they're so broken, and you're like, okay, I charge with the chariots and trolls and all that. And I said that is not enough. Oh, well, I think it's enough. Okay, and I beat the shit out of you. And you're like, fuck shit.
I had the impression that the 9th Age was balanced. I was very naive. I learned from the experience.
Maybe you could give us like an example.
I also got a good beating from Jonas in the first game.
Maybe you could just give us an example of, let's say, the Flagellants as an example. How would you change it? Is it going to be like a number of Flagellants you can take, or like?
I'd say the maximum of 1 unit.
Yeah, either a maximum of 1 unit or a maximum of Flagellants in the Holy Army or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that would
limit the unit size or something like that. Okay.
Because instead of going in and change points and stats, I would like just putting max on how many.
Yeah. And how about the Pope-mobile?
The Pope-mobile doesn't kill anything in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe if they don't fix it, you have talked about it on the show that maybe capping the ward save on the different wagons to 5+ instead of 4+.
Yeah, at least you can kill it then.
Yeah, because I think a lot of the wagons are too hard.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but we'll. I think we'll wrap up now. So yeah, there's 2 or 3 warm-up tournaments for Giant Fanatic coming up in the next month. There's one Legacy.
Yeah, that's the biggest one up in Lyngby. I think it's already sold out with 30 places or seats. The week before Giant Fanatic with 2,000 points, which I hope I get a place for. I'm on the waiting list. I want to play some Warhammer 2. And there's a small guy called Christopher here in Copenhagen. Has a basement with I think room for 6 gaming tables, and he's making both warm up for Legacy for the other tournament, and then a warm up for Giant Fanatic down in his basement during September.
Okay, cool. And you can find these on PowerFist?
Yeah, on the tournament debate.
Yeah.
And you also find all the information about the Giant Fanatic and the tournament pack both at PowerFists under the Giant Fanatic board on the 9th subboard. We also have a Facebook page where you can go in for the event, where there also will come information, and also on the fanatic.dk.
Yes. And this episode should be out Wednesday the 23rd.
31st.
Yeah, I don't know what the date is. Yeah, this Wednesday this should be out, and then
we're recording here on Sunday, so
yes.
It's in 3 days. So it might be sold out when you hear this.
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully, that'd be really great if we can get 100.
I'm not concerned about having the event sold out. I think there's some players waiting for the complete
rules pack.
Yeah. And seeing what is it and if they like it.
Yeah, and obviously this is a bit of a preview for you guys to hear the rules pack in advance.
Yeah.
And the rules pack then, when you're hearing this, the rules pack should be out in 1 or 2 days.
Yeah.
If it's not out already, if you're listening to it late. So yeah, you can find that on PowerFist as well. Just thank you for listening today. Our usual broadcast segments will be coming to you soon. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks we can do another episode. And we'll be covering the usual hobby stuff and tournament stuff and shenanigans that we get up to. So stay tuned. Thank you for listening today. This has been Ammertime Podcast, episode number 12. I always hate doing this. I always have to edit it.
Ammertime.
I never know what to say to like end the show.
Finish it?
Yeah, I'm really bad at it.
Like you don't even have a catchphrase?
No.
12 episodes, no catchphrase.
We should get a catchphrase.
Something.
So this is in the show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can just edit it out.
No, it's fine.
You want me to leave this in?
So
Maybe
now we're talking about infinity.
Infinity!
Okay. Is that the way you want to end every show? Talk about infinity?
We have to have you on as a special guest every show.
Oh dear. Okay, I'll clear my schedule.
Okay. Thank you for listening. Hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. We'll be recording our usual podcast in the next couple of weeks. It'll be out probably in a few weeks' time if we get. Oh, fuck's sake. I'm really tired. How do we end it? Fuck.
Press the button.
No, we need to be pro and do it properly. Maybe you should take it away.
We could use our bell cry. Meh.
Okay.
This has been the Dwellers Below.
Yeah, that's good. Maybe we should record something like that. Like